Hey guys, my name is Iasmina and welcome back to my channel. So today, because it's October and it's starting to be that really nice time of the year, it's actually one of my favorite, if not my favorite time of the year, where everything is cozy and a little bit spooky and you have candles and pumpkins. Look at can you see my pumpkins? See, I thought this through. It's a theme going on. Today, because it's the start of October, I wanted to recommend to you guys 10 spooky reads. 10 books that are perfect to pick up and read around this time of the year. Now, full disclaimer, I don't read a lot of horror, thriller, mystery novels. So this might be perfect for some of you guys that are like me who are not so read in this genre and just want to try out some select titles that have that sort of creepy vibe, that mysterious vibe. Maybe the atmosphere is really specific, so it's not necessarily super scary, because I don't read a lot of those books, but I will give you some of my favorite spooky reads that I've personally read and enjoyed. It's kind of books to get you into that mood without them being too scary, I guess. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first two books I want to talk about are actually graphic novels, because I think there's something really cool to read something spooky, but to also read it in an illustrated form. It just kind of adds something to that whole vibe. So the first graphic novel I want to talk about is by Neil Gaiman, and that is Sandman. So this is the first volume of the Sandman series. It's quite a long series, and this is volume 1 called Preludes and Nocturnes. And if you're not familiar with Neil Gaiman, he is kind of known for writing kind of creepy things. But this is one of his most famous works, and I really did enjoy it. The art style is sort of dark and creepy, and a little bit terrifying, honestly, not gonna lie. It was quite scary. I don't want to give too much away, because I think with a lot of these kind of spooky reads, I think the less you know about them going in, the better the experience is. It has theme of death and of nightmares and people bargaining for eternal life, and creepy things happen. So yes, I would recommend reading the first volume or the entire series of Sandman. The second graphic novel series I want to talk about is called Lock and Key, and this is by Joe Hill and illustrated by Gabriel Rodriguez, and I'll put a picture up here because I read the first 3 volumes on my Kindle, so I don't own them physically, but I do want to pick them up one day because I really love the series. So if you don't know, Joe Hill is actually the son of Stephen King. Joe Hill is his pen name, and he, as his father, writes a lot of horror/thriller stuff. This is awesome. This is definitely my kind of sort of horror story. So it's about this really creepy mansion that this family moves in, and all of these mysterious doors, and the people living there find keys and they start to unlock some of these doors, and obviously bad things happen when they do. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's fantastic. You should read it. Speaking of Joe Hill and Stephen King, I can't make a video like this without mentioning Stephen King. I am still a newbie in the Stephen King world, but the stuff that I've read so far I really do like, and so I want to keep reading. But the book I want to recommend specifically today is It. I'll put it up here. I'm currently listening to this on Audible. I'm about past halfway through. It's a very long book. I think physically is around 1,000 pages, and in Audible form it's like 60 hours or something. Very good though, very enjoyable. So It is a very famous story, but if you're not aware, it's about this small town in Maine called Derry. And creepy things have happened in the past where people go missing and kids get killed, and there's this mystery going on sort of every decade or every 7 years, where these things keep resurfacing. And no one knows what it is, no one knows what's happening. And so the beginning of the story, we follow this group of kids. One of the main characters is Bill, and his young brother goes missing. He is one of the victims of this mysterious thing that's going on. And then this group of kids comes together, and stuff starts happening to them, and they go on a mission to find out what is happening. They eventually find this creature called It, who sometimes takes the form of a creepy, scary clown, sometimes takes the form of some of their worst nightmares, and they go on a mission to try and kill or stop this evil creature, demon thing called It. No one knows what it really is, which is why it's called It. But even though I have not finished this book, I completely love it, and I already know the story. I've seen all the movies, or at least the 2 movie adaptations. The most recent one I love. Highly recommend the Neewer adaptation that came out last year, I think. It's actually on Netflix right now, at least in my region, so check it out if you haven't seen it yet. It's a fantastic, really entertaining movie. It's not that scary. I'm not a huge fan of like jump scares or really gory things, but it is just kind of somewhere in the middle. It's just the right amount of scary and funny and just all around entertaining. So the movie is fantastic, the book is fantastic so far. I would recommend just the whole media around it. Next up is a classic that I've only just recently read. I've already talked about this on my channel, so I'll only briefly mention it, but obviously it is Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. So this is one of the most famous classic mystery thriller novels, and yeah, it lives up to the hype. I wasn't really sure what to expect going in for it, but it's just, it's so good. It's so good. So the basic premise of this is a group of random, but not really random, 8 people get summoned to have a vacation on this mansion on a small little island off the coast of England. Everyone thinks they kind of know the owner or the people who summoned them, who now own this vacation house, and so without much questioning really, they all go there. But the owners of the house, when they get there, are not present. The only people present are the butler and his wife, and so there's 10 people in this house now. And first night there, one of them dies in mysterious circumstances. And then they start investigating, and then other things start happening. And I think the story is famous enough that you kind of know where this is going, but I'm not going to say more than that. It's fantastic though, so definitely a fantastic read for this time of year. Another book that's one of my favorites and that I keep talking about on this channel is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is without a doubt one of my favorite books of all time, and it's something that I never would have thought could hold that title for me personally. I didn't know much about it going in. Again, I think this is kind of a good thing with all of these books and with sort of this genre in particular, sort of thrillers, mysteries, horror. The less you know going in, the more surprised you'll be. And I was enthralled by this. From the first pages, there is a murder going on. So it starts off with a murder, and then it goes back in time trying to piece together the events that happened to lead up to that. But there's something about Donna Tartt's writing and the kind of setting that it's set in and the atmosphere. It's so intense in this book, and I just fell in love with it. Basic premise, main character goes to this prestigious university, and he starts being really interested in this elite group of people who take this very elite class that only those 5 people get to participate in. And there's this really fantastic, well-known professor who doesn't really accept other students in his class because it's so elitist. So he's a philosophy teacher. And then this main character starts following this other group and starts to try to get into that class. A very well-known, well-loved book, and for a very good reason. Secret History. The next book I want to talk about is a short one, and it's actually a novella, and it's called Bodies of Water by V.H. Leslie. So I talked about this in my favorite novellas of all time video, which I will link up here and down below if you're interested. But this is such a fantastic read for this time of year. So it's set in 2 timelines, one in the past and one in the present, and it revolves around this building that in the past was used as a facility for mentally unhealthy women to go and get treated. And the way they got treated is through this sort of aqua therapy kind of deal. Not entirely sure. But that's what this building was used for in the past. But now in the present, it's an apartment complex. And so the main character moves into this apartment complex, and strange things happen. And so we get the 2 timelines, and there's a lot of creepy stuff going on in the past when it was a mental facility, and there's creepy things going on in the present when it's an apartment complex. Just all around creepy creepy things. This is one of those books that's perfect for like a creepy, cozy afternoon where you just light up a candle, make a mug of tea or coffee, and just read this in an hour or so, and it's a great time. Recommend. The next book I want to talk about is also by Neil Gaiman. As I've said, Neil Gaiman tends to write these kinds of creepy stories, but the book I want to talk about is The Graveyard book. So I'll put a picture up here. Again, I have this on my Kindle. So this is kind of a middle grade, maybe, story. Basic premise of The Graveyard book is small boy wanders into the local graveyard where all these ghosts live, and he meets these ghosts. And the ghosts agree to take the boy in as one of their own and raise him as one of their own in this graveyard. Yeah. His style is really interesting because it's kind of whimsical, but kind of really creepy. It's not something to be taken super seriously because it's not really scary. It's just that wonderful mix of creepy whimsical is what I'll call it. And to finish off the Neil Gaiman section of this video, because I have 3 books by Neil Gaiman, the other one that I want to talk about is Neverwhere. So Neverwhere is actually a fantasy novel. So the basic premise of this is there is this creepy other London underneath the real London, and this main character, on his way to work or something, he sees a girl bleeding on the floor and he tries to go and help her, and through things he falls into this other London called Neverwhere. And Neverwhere is a weird, creepy place. Weird, creepy things happen. It's Neil Gaiman. You know what to expect with Neil Gaiman, and it's wonderful. The next book I want to talk about is, I think it's classified as a psychological thriller, possibly, and it's a very famous one of the most famous ones, I think. And that is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Again, I had no idea what to expect going into this book, but I loved every second of it. My mind was twisted this way and that, and I thought of a million things, and I got proven wrong for almost all of them, and it was a fantastic ride. This is the kind of book that you can't put down because you always want to know what happens next, because there's always something else. There's always more than what it seems like there is. There's also a movie of it. I saw the movie, but I do prefer the book. It's just this wonderful experience of reading something like this and thinking one thing and then being proven wrong, and doing that multiple times is very enthralling, and I can totally see why people love this genre, and this book particularly, and I do too. So I would really recommend reading this if you've ever been interested in it. It's really, truly worth it. And finally, the last book I want to recommend comes with a sad story, as in I wanted to read this book for this video because I've been wanting to read it for a very long time, and I thought it would fit really well into this video, but I wanted to read it first, or at least be a little of the way through it so I can actually talk about it, see if I like it or not, see if it's any good, because I'm never going to talk about something that I haven't read or I haven't liked, because what's the point otherwise? However, I started reading it, and then my Kindle died. I think it's bricked. I think it's no more. It has ceased to be. I've had it for nearly 6 years now, and the thing is, it's been working fine all this time. I mean, there's not much there that can go wrong, really, but yeah, I was reading this book 1 minute, and then the next, it just died. And it's not a battery thing, it was full on battery. It just gets stuck at the tree screen forever. It doesn't do anything, and now I'm trying to really drain it out of its battery. So actually, it actually looks like this now, but because this is like e-ink, you know, this is not actually like completely run out of battery. But I was trying to do something, because one of the things that people recommend, a few people have had this issue and no one has been able to resolve it, but something that people recommend is to completely drain it, just leave it on for like weeks or a month, completely drain it, and then completely charge it fully back on, see if anything happens. But at this point, I've tried so many things. I do really think it's bricked, so I'm gonna have to contact Amazon and see what to do about it. But anyway, long story short, I haven't even talked about the book. The book is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs, and this is one of these books that have been super popular on BookTube for years now. I just never got around to reading it, and I just thought that would be a really good book to read around this time, and I wanted to read it for myself and also to talk to you guys about it. And I started reading it, I was about maybe like 10% through, so not a lot, and then this died. I still want to mention it in this video, but just know I have not finished it, but I did enjoy the bit that I read, that I was able to read. Of course, I can still read it like on my phone or on my laptop through the Kindle app, but that's just not my thing. Like the thing about reading on a Kindle is the fact that it has this wonderful screen, so you do feel like you're reading on paper instead of on a digital screen. So I can't read it on my phone or my laptop without going mad. So unfortunately, until I get this fixed or get another one, I can't read Kindle books. As much as I love technology, when technology goes wrong, it goes really wrong, which is why, one of the reasons why I still prefer traditional media and paper books and paper notebooks and writing things down. And yeah, I just love that physicality of it, and unless you drop it in a bath or, I don't know, spill coffee on it or burn it with a candle or something, it's like, it can't just break itself. It can't just die for no reason. Well, there probably is a reason, but it can't just stop working. That's the beauty of traditional media. This has been a Kindle rant. Thank you for listening. Anyway, that rant aside, the bit I read from Miss Peregrine's was actually really interesting, and I know there's some creepy pictures of creepy children in it that could fit this kind of mood that we're going for in this video, so I would recommend checking that one out as well. Okay, so those were all the books that I wanted to recommend to you guys today. I hope that you are into this whole October mood, and maybe you'll pick one of these up and have a nice little cozy, creepy reading time, because that's fun. I find it fun. As always, I'll leave links to all of these books that I've talked about in the description below in case you're interested in picking one of them up. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great October time, and I'll see you next Monday with a new video. Bye!